The next morning, Kaythren stood in the inner courtyard, adjusting his gloves as he prepared for the tour. The cool air carried the scent of damp stone and freshly turned soil where workers labored to restore the grounds. He straightened at the sound of footsteps, soft, deliberate, yet unmistakable. Lady Arnamee entered, dressed in mourning black, a sheer veil shrouding her face like a phantom of the past. Though surprised, Kaythren felt a quiet relief at her presence. "Lady," he began, but she raised a hand, silencing him with a simple gesture. "I am here to see what you plan to do," she said, her voice steady, yet laced with restrained grief. "I know that my family, including my late husband, are no longer in power, but I still wish to see how things will change." Kaythren smiled, nodding toward the worn path that circled the keep. "Good. Let's get started, shall we?" Before he could take his first step, a firm hand gripped his arm. Horgamir, his captain of the guard, leaned in, his tone low and edged with warning. "My lord, what are you doing?" He glanced toward Arnamee. "She is of the enemy. Her family still holds power and could turn the tide against you." Kaythren sighed but did not waver. "I understand your concern, Horgamir, but I believe she is harmless." Horgamir exhaled sharply, stepping back with crossed arms. "You're chasing her skirt, then?" His voice was bitter with skepticism. "That is no better. But fine, just know that as your advisor, I have warned you." Kaythren pressed forward, guiding Lady Arnamee along the stone wall where the engineer awaited them. The older man traced the cracks in the weathered stones with his calloused fingers, stopping at a particularly weak section. "My lord, this is the spot I wish to show you. When you—" The engineer hesitated, then corrected himself, clearing his throat. "When the enemy breached the wall, the damage spread 200 feet in both directions." Kaythren studied the man's expression, recognizing the unspoken truth. The people still saw him as an outsider, not their king. "How long to repair these sections?" he asked, keeping his voice level. "And the damage to the keep and grounds?" The engineer pulled a battered parchment from his belt, scanning the numbers before responding. "It would require 140,000 gold, 2,000 workers, and more than a year." Kaythren turned to Horgamir. "How much do we have in the treasury?" "We have enough, my lord," the captain confirmed, though his tone remained cautious. Lady Arnamee stepped forward then, glancing at the engineer. "Lord Kaythren, Lord Horgamir, may I offer a suggestion?" Kaythren nodded. "Go ahead." "If the kind engineer could step away for a moment," she requested. Kaythren gestured, and the older man moved toward a nearby fountain, leaving them in private. "What is it you propose?" Horgamir asked, his voice edged with skepticism. "My father and cousins own 3 quarries and some of the finest lumber yards in the region," she explained. "We can provide the materials and workforce for half the cost." Kaythren considered her words. He knew the offer made sense, yet hesitation lingered. Was this charity or a quiet maneuver of power? Horgamir touched Kaythren's shoulder, whispering, "Let me consult the council tomorrow. This offer must be weighed carefully." Kaythren nodded. "Fair enough." Then, turning back to Arnamee, he softened. "But regardless of politics, today has been refreshing. Shall we continue our walk?" Though her veil concealed most of her expression, he swore he could sense her smile. "Yes, that would be nice," she replied. They walked on in silence, the rustling of dried leaves beneath their feet mingling with the distant clatter of workers repairing shattered stones. As they neared the garden, Kaythren motioned for a servant. "Lady Arnamee, it is midday. Would you like to take lunch with me here?" She hesitated, glancing at the once grand garden, its paths cracked, its trees weary from the battle that had ravaged the keep. "It would not be customary for me to do so." Her gaze drifted over the ruins of blooming hedges and toppled statues. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she admitted, "I used to play here as a girl, before I was given to the king." Kaythren followed her gaze. He recalled this place not as a garden, but a battlefield. That same path, the one now littered with fallen petals, was where he had run a captain through with his blade. "Perhaps another day," he said gently. The servant will escort you back to your quarters. Thank you for your input today, he added, watching as she nodded before turning away. It was refreshing. Arnamee said nothing, only dipped her head in acknowledgement before disappearing down the path, her dark veil blending into the ruins of her childhood.